Sometimes, one moment of mercy defines who we truly are. He was a man everyone envied. Wealth, power, and a life polished like glass. She was invisible to the world, cleaning rooms that were never hers. And one night, their worlds collided. In a hotel corridor where fate whispered louder than money. If you believe that compassion still has power in this cold world, hit subscribe, because this story will remind you that true success isn't built on fortune, but on the courage to care. She whispered through trembling lips, "Please, just make it quick." But what the millionaire did next would change both of their lives forever. Lucas Renard was the kind of man newspapers called untouchable, a self-made millionaire, owner of 5 hotels across the coast. Every morning began with precision: espresso at 6, meeting by 7, flight by 9. He lived inside a calendar, not a life. The Golden Mirage Hotel in Miami was his latest empire. Opening night shimmered with champagne and camera flashes. Lucas smiled for photos, but his eyes were empty, like a man staring through glass. To him, emotions were liabilities. Down the hall, Maria Torres scrubbed marble floors that would never know her reflection. She worked night shifts to pay her brother's hospital bills. Her world was measured in tips, not dreams. But that night, she was assigned to clean the presidential suite, Lucas's private domain. At 11:37 p.m. she knocked softly. "Housekeeping," she whispered. No answer. She entered, cautious, respectful. The room smelled of cologne and exhaustion. Then a voice. "Leave it. I'm still here." Startled, she froze. Lucas stood near the window, tie undone, eyes sharp yet tired. He noticed the calluses on her hands, the worn shoes. For a moment something inside him softened. Then he looked away. Maria bowed her head. "Sorry, sir. I'll finish quickly." He didn't reply. Only silence, the kind that feels heavier than words. 20 minutes later, she found a wallet on the sofa. It was his, open, revealing a photo of a young boy. Curiosity flickered, then guilt. She set it down gently. Lucas turned, noticing her careful gesture. "Why didn't you take it?" he asked, half teasing, half serious. Her heart pounded. "Because it's not mine." He studied her face. Honest, tired. "People usually aren't that honest," he said quietly. She smiled faintly. "Then maybe you've been meeting the wrong people, sir." The room fell into stillness again. Outside, thunder rolled, Miami's sudden rainstorm. When she finished, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a check. "Take this, for your time." She shook her head. "Please, just pay me fairly, that's all." "Why?" "Because dignity's all I've got left." Her words hit him harder than he expected. He didn't know why, but they stayed with him, echoing through the glass walls of his suite long after she left. Hours later, he stood on the balcony, rain misting against his face. The city lights looked smaller than usual. He realized, for all his wealth, he hadn't felt human in years. And then the phone rang. His assistant's voice cut through the rain. "Sir, about tomorrow's deal." But Lucas barely listened. He was thinking about the maid who refused easy money, and the strange peace in her eyes. That night, he didn't sleep. Because for the first time in a long time, something within him had awakened. But at dawn, Maria's life would take a turn she never imagined. By morning, Maria's world was collapsing. Her brother's condition had worsened overnight. The hospital demanded payment before further treatment. She stared at the invoice, $5,000 she didn't have. She tried every option, loans, friends, even selling her mother's locket. Nothing. By afternoon, she was back at the hotel, eyes swollen from tears, hands trembling as she changed linens. In another life, Lucas was in his penthouse boardroom, finalizing a multi-million-dollar contract. But something gnawed at him. The maid's voice, that quiet dignity, haunted his thoughts. When he saw her in the lobby that evening, she looked pale, desperate. Their eyes met briefly before she turned away. Moments later, He received a call from the hospital. His PR manager had informed him of a staff member seeking emergency funds. He didn't hesitate. "Who is it?" "Maria Torres, sir." He found her in the staff corridor, clutching a crumpled letter. "Maria," he said gently. She looked up, startled. "Mr. Renard, I'm sorry, I shouldn't." He raised a hand. "Tell me what's wrong." Tears welled. "It's my brother. He needs surgery tonight, please. I'll work double shifts, triple. Just help me. Please." Her voice cracked under the weight of exhaustion, and then came the line that would forever change him. "Te lo ruego, solo hazlo rápido." She was begging, not for herself, but for time. The phrase shattered something inside Lucas. For years, he'd bought everything except empathy, but in her trembling voice he heard truth, raw and human. He handed her an envelope. "Go to him. It's covered." She froze. "Sir, I can't accept this. You already have," he said quietly. "Now go." Her tears fell like the rain outside. She whispered, "Why are you doing this?" Lucas looked away. "Because someone once did it for me." As she ran through the rain toward the hospital, Lucas stayed by the window, watching the storm. Lightning lit the skyline, and in that flash he saw his own reflection, not the billionaire, but the boy he used to be. That night, Maria's brother survived the surgery, but the price of that salvation was a secret she didn't yet understand. The next morning, the city woke to headlines. Hotel tycoon accused of misusing funds. Lucas's world cracked overnight. Someone from his own board leaked the donation he'd made to Maria, twisting it as inappropriate financial behavior. The media storm hit fast, cruel, relentless. He sat in his office, staring at the chaos on his phone. Every notification felt like a bullet. To the world, it wasn't compassion, it was scandal, and the woman he'd helped was now being dragged into it too. Maria was called to human resources, trembling as she faced 3 cold executives. "Did Mr. Renard offer you money?" "Yes, for my brother's surgery." "So you admit it?" She wanted to scream that it wasn't what they thought. But power silences truth. By dusk, she was suspended. No paycheck, no stability, just shame and whispers in the hallways. Lucas tried to protect her. He faced his board with fury. "You're punishing kindness." But the chairman replied, "We're protecting the company's reputation, Lucas. You crossed a line." That night, Lucas stood alone in the hotel's rooftop garden, a place built for peace, now heavy with guilt. The city lights blurred beneath the drizzle. He remembered Maria's voice pleading, "Please, just make it quick." He had acted on instinct, not strategy, and now both of them were paying the price. For the first time in years, Lucas questioned everything, his empire, his motives, his very worth. He had built walls of glass, but one act of empathy had shattered them all. Meanwhile, Maria sat at her brother's bedside, watching the monitors beep softly in the dark. She wanted to thank Lucas, but the phone she once used to call him was now confiscated by HR as evidence. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and fear. Outside, thunder returned, like the sky echoing her turmoil. Her brother stirred weakly and whispered, "Don't cry, Maria. You said good people always win." She nodded, though she no longer believed it. Back in his penthouse, Lucas opened a drawer. Inside, an old letter from his late mentor. It read, "Never forget, success without soul is just another kind of poverty." The words hit deeper than ever. He made a decision. He'd resign, step down, take the blame to clear her name. But just before he could announce it, his lawyer called. "Lucas, there's something you need to see. Someone's leaking your private recordings. A setup." Someone wanted him destroyed, and Maria, unintentionally, was part of the collateral. As lightning split the skyline, Lucas whispered to the night, "Then they'll see who I really am." The storm wasn't over, it was just beginning. Lucas disappeared from the public eye for weeks. Rumors said he'd fled the country. But the truth was quieter and far more human. He drove south, leaving behind skyscrapers for small towns, trading silence for clarity. He stayed at roadside motels under false names, watching ordinary people struggle with dignity, the same kind Maria carried that night. He started volunteering at a food bank anonymously. For the first time in years, he listened more than he spoke. Meanwhile, Maria tried rebuilding. With Lucas gone, she took a job cleaning a small diner. She smiled for customers, but every night she wrote letters to him, letters she'd never send. In one she wrote, "You gave me hope, not money, and that's something they'll never understand." One morning, Lucas saw her by chance. She was carrying groceries in the rain, her brother beside her, finally walking again. He almost called out, but stopped. This wasn't his moment to save her. She was already surviving. That night, sitting in his truck, he made a decision that would rewrite his legacy. He would rebuild, not his fortune, but his purpose. He sold his last penthouse, liquidated his assets, and launched the Dignity Fund, a non-profit providing emergency aid for low-income workers. He named it after the word she had spoken that first night. Dignity. The press mocked it at first. A guilty billionaire's PR stunt. But when Maria appeared unexpectedly at the foundation's first event, everything changed. She stood on stage, trembling but brave, telling her story. "He didn't help me for attention. He helped me because he remembered what being human means." The room fell silent. Then applause, long, emotional, unstoppable. Lucas watched from backstage, eyes wet with quiet pride. He didn't need redemption anymore. He'd found something better, truth. But as the applause faded, a familiar figure appeared near the door, the former chairman of his company. And he wasn't there to congratulate him. The chairman's visit wasn't coincidence. He had come with an offer and a confession. "Lucas," he began, voice strained, "it was me. I leaked the donation. I framed you." Lucas stared, motionless. "Why?" "Because you were changing the company, making it about people, not profit." The board couldn't stand it. For a long moment, only silence filled the room. Outside, sunset poured gold through the windows, warm yet fragile. Lucas could have destroyed him then, press charges, seek revenge. But he didn't. He simply said, "I forgive you, but I'm not coming back." The older man's expression cracked. Guilt and awe mixed in his eyes. "Why? You could have everything again." Lucas smiled faintly. "I already do." Maria stepped forward, tears glistening. "Forgiveness is wealth, too." The crowd, still lingering after the event, heard every word. News spread within hours. The exiled millionaire forgives his betrayer publicly. The story went viral, not for scandal, but for grace. Within weeks, donations to the Dignity Fund skyrocketed. People wanted to believe in goodness again, and in the quiet after the storm, Maria visited him at his modest new office. Small, sunlit, with plants on the windowsill. "You lost everything," she whispered, "and somehow you're freer," he smiled. "Because I finally know what wealth really means." She looked around, touched by the simplicity. "You could have built another empire." He met her gaze. "This time, I'm building lives." Their eyes held a long silence, not romantic yet, but something deeper. Two souls who had seen the worst in life and still chose kindness. As she left that evening, golden light bathed her figure. Lucas stood by the window, watching. For once, the view wasn't of a skyline, but of hope walking away. He didn't chase her. Not yet. He knew timing was sacred, and love, like redemption, can't be rushed. But destiny had its own plans, because 1 month later, a journalist uncovered the truth, the full trail of corruption that had tried to destroy Lucas. And this time, the world saw him not as a fallen millionaire, but as a man who rose by lifting others. A year later, the Dignity Foundation had helped over 10,000 workers across the country. Maria was now its operations director. Lucas never called her employee again. He called her partner. The Foundation's headquarters overlooked the ocean, where dawn painted the sky in gold. Every morning they arrived early. She with her quiet smile, he with his steady calm. On the anniversary of that first stormy night, they stood on the balcony. Rain clouds lingered at sea, but the light was breaking through. "It feels different," Maria said softly. Lucas nodded. "It is. This time the rain means renewal." They both knew what that night had taken and what it had given back. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Inside was a silver bracelet, simple but engraved with one word: dignity. He fastened it gently around her wrist. "It's not a proposal," he said with a soft laugh. "It's a promise." She smiled through tears. "That's better than gold." A breeze swept between them, warm, like the world exhaling after pain. Below, children played near the shore, their laughter echoing against the waves. The sound felt like music after silence. Lucas turned toward the horizon. He wasn't the same man who once measured worth in millions. He was something rarer, a man who learned that real wealth is what you give away. As the sun rose higher, he said quietly, "Maria, you changed everything." She replied, "No, Lucas. You just remembered who you were." The camera of fate pulled back. The ocean wide, the light golden, the two of them small but radiant in the frame. And the voice that began this story returns, calm and certain. Sometimes one act of kindness changes the entire direction of a life. Or two fade out.